Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And I want to talk today about dealing with the judgment and shame of being in a narcissistically abusive relationship. The amount of emotions that come up in these cycles is massive, right? And on my channel, you're going to find a variety of content. Some of it is going to be to appeal to your power. And you can watch those videos on the days when you feel strong and you want to be powered up, or you feel weak and you want to be powered up. You can either use it to compound your momentum or pick you up when you're down, or both, right? Or any way you want to. Some of them are going to tell you about the darkness of the narcissist, where you're going to see it as it is. Because it's the truth, right? I'm not going to pacify it, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I'm not going to buy into any of these narratives. So many of the narratives are untrue that are out there, which again are projecting empathy on the narcissist when they don't have that, you know? So I'm going to bust some myths on that, just so that you know what you're dealing with, because that can really help you heal, right? But I'm really massively aware, right, of the guilt and shame and judgment we feel in these cycles, yeah? And I want you to just know something, right? I truly do trust people's timing, yeah? I talk about not being defined by the narcissist, not being defined by your relationships with them, whoever they are in your life, not being defined by whether you leave or not. I don't tell people in my work to leave the narcissist, right? Their timing is their timing when they want to do that, if they want to do that. There are consequences that you become aware of if you don't, but I don't believe, you know, it defines you. When you're ready to, you'll make that move, but dealing with the judgment and shame of being in an abusive relationship is part of how so many of us get isolated, because other people don't understand. I mean, they don't. How could they? You know, it's not their fault. Like someone who's treating you. I mean, if you talk to someone outside of that relationship about how a narcissist is treating you, they will not understand why you're putting up with it. And by the time you've realised what's going on, you're often very far into the enmeshment, often like completely tied into it, because the narcissist will put you in traps. You will be physically, emotionally, financially bonded with them often. So how do we deal with the judgment and shame? I think first of all, you've got to just decide not to judge or shame yourself. Own it and understand where it's safe to talk about it and where it isn't. Yeah? Honestly, it's not really fair to dump it on your friends. They're not therapists and they can't understand it, and you're going to feel lonely. You're going to feel lonely in the cycle, and you're going to feel lonely with people, and they're going to actually want to get away from you sometimes if they don't understand it and it's all you want to talk about because you're in the trap. So you've got to understand how to manage your relationships, right? Where, you know, because the beauty, if you have got relationships outside the narcissist that are healthy, is you've got the possibility of actually having other areas of your life where you get to be yourself. And I would focus on that. I would focus on actually being yourself where you can, because that's really good for us, right? And with the judgment and shame, we have to dissolve it in ourselves, right? Such a huge part of this cycle is being isolated. The narcissist will, I mean, I got totally cut off from everything with the narcissist because I was involved with one in business and life. But like, and I came on my own to a foreign country, so I was easy to isolate. You know, there wasn't an established community in this country for me that I'd had, or friends that had known me for years, you know, that would have sort of questioned a few things. It was easier for me to fall into cycles. And so they will isolate you, and there might be times in your life where you are just naturally more isolated, you know. Different stages of life, we can get more isolated just by the stage of life we're in, or other circumstances, right? So Judgment and shame. Don't let the relationship define you. Whether you're in it or not, whether you're staying in it or not, it doesn't define you. I would say the best way to do it is to connect with who you are beyond it, right? Because where you can be yourself and have genuine connections, let them be there. Understand if you're in these relationships, they're very dysfunctional. But they can only be dealt with, honestly, in safe spaces and professional ways. And if you communicate them with other people for advice, they're not going to get this dynamic whatsoever, most people, unless they've got experience, lived experience or academic experience in narcissistic abuse, because they will not get what's going on. For someone who hasn't been through it, it's just completely mind-blowing. And they may judge you for it, right? So show the rest of the world who you are in places where you can, because it doesn't have to define your whole life, even if you're still in it. And give yourself a break. You know, don't let your self-esteem rest on whether you've left the narcissist or not. Some of these situations are difficult, very difficult to get out of in lots of ways, right? Ultimately, the more you raise your vibration, the more you do the work, the more you come into your sovereignty, it will actually be it will be an easier thing to detach from. It will be like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. This doesn't even make sense in my life. Like, that's the time to move. I've actually found that. Even when I've helped people break things like addictions, you know, I didn't tell them to use willpower. When they heal enough, when they come up, elevate enough, it's like they just don't want the thing anymore. And actually, that's kind of a healthier way. Some people don't get that choice. You might be discarded, or you could have been pushed enough, triggered enough to make a move. If you do it from the energy of being pushed enough, the thing is, when you leave and you're not so triggered, you'll forget the pain often and reminisce and go back into the love bomb and whatever goes on. But the more you understand the cycle, right, and be gentle on yourself, we have to be self-partnered, what I call self-partnered, self-focused. We've got to have our own back. We've got to be at least kind to ourselves. In these cycles, we do things because we abandon ourselves and we tend to betray ourselves, right? And we can get quite desperate and in despair. We can do things we're ashamed of, right? Whether that's reactive abuse or just feeling out of character and very, you know, it can be very challenging emotionally on us, right? Highly. So understand that none of that is your fault. None of that is who you are. In this antagonized, extreme circumstance, if you're dealing with a real narcissist, I'm not talking on this channel, by the way, I'm talking about a narcissist, a real narcissist. I'm not talking about an arsehole, yeah? But even if you're not sure if the person you're dealing with is a narcissist, it doesn't really matter because you know how you feel. Our bodies know it's wrong. Our bodies know we're not feeling good. The challenge in abuse cycles is what happens is we think something wrong with us and that we're trying to make it right, especially if you're highly empathetic, rather than seeing the situation for what it is. Yeah? The more you do, the less likely you're going to settle for it. And I know a lot of people say, well, it's so difficult to get a divorce, it's so difficult to do this. I'm telling you, leaving a narcissist in whatever situation is often highly difficult, but it's definitely not impossible. It's definitely not. And when you're ready, if you're ready, in your timing, you'll get yourself there. But you've got to trust your own timing. You've got to trust your own process. You've got to I trust your timing. I trust people's timing on what's right for them overall. And you get to, because, you know, if you're pushed too hard on something, or if you push yourself because you think you should do it, right? It's like when someone's got an addiction and they're trying to give up something because they should, but it's not true to them yet. So let yourself go through the process. Work on not judging yourself. Work on dropping the shame. Shame's it's a very low on the vibrational scale emotion. Shame is when we really feel we are wrong at core. Guilt is, I did something wrong. Shame is when we feel we're wrong. And there's a scale of emotions that David Hawkins did, and guilt and shame are some of the lowest ones we can feel. Anger is above it. When you get angry, right, you start setting boundaries and you start kicking ass a bit. But guilt and shame are very low ones to sit in. So what I would say is, if you're in this cycle, Honestly, I would recommend not sharing it with friends and things. I don't believe in lies, but I mean, I would say to people things like, I don't really discuss my private life, and you know, I'm working through some stuff right now. I don't dump it on them, because it's not their job either to support you, and they're not equipped. This is very heavy stuff. Someone was saying in my sovereign group, what's the difference between dumping on someone and healthy connections? And in healthy connections, we kind of hold space. So that would look like a friend's, you know, me saying to a friend, yeah, I'm okay. I don't lie. I'm going through some things right now, but I'll be okay. But I take responsibility for it. Her job as my friend, you know, she could say, well, you know, let me know if you need anything, and if you need someone to talk to. But I'll know what's appropriate and what's consensual as well. And I'll know what's really, you know, there's no good can come out of me just dumping trauma on someone. I don't heal this, she doesn't heal this, her day gets ruined, my day gets ruined, you see? So at that point, I've got to think about what can I do to process and heal, rather than just dump. Because saying I'm going through something, like if you were grieving or going through something, is one thing. Expecting your friends to take responsibility for your emotions is something else. Being abandoned in our emotions is something that, if you've grown up with narcissists or been in narcissistic relationships, we've experienced a lot. And for a child, being abandoned in emotions, and if you're in a relationship, emotional neglect is extremely distressing, right? I was constantly abandoned in my emotions, and, you know, that is neglect. It's a form of abuse. So we're not here, it's not that people should neglect you in your emotions, it's just that they can't solve them for you either. So it's like letting people know where you're at. I'm going through something, I'm really sad at the moment, I'm going for something very hard, I'm getting very stressed, you know, that kind of thing. But there's a difference between that and kind of like dumping it on them, expecting them to resolve it, and there's nothing they can do there. So there is a line in it. But you don't want to be abandoned in your emotions. You don't want to be fake and having to put on a fake face and pretend you're happy. You can say things like, I'm going through a really hard time right now, but I'm happy to be here, and I want us to have a nice lunch, yeah? And I'll tell you, you know, there's a line in, you know, it's not that you don't talk about it, but it's like, be mindful of why you're talking about it. Because I just need to get it off my chest, means I just want to try and offload my emotions on you. And they can't help you there. It's actually your job to go back and process them. I've got something in Sovereign that I do with people that helps them process. But like, it's our job to process our emotions. In fact, I think, honestly, I recommend most people on the planet need to process before any conversation. If you're feeling very angry, very pent up, very overwhelmed, actually process and then come back and have a conversation and say, yeah, I'm going through some grief right now. But no one talking to them about it often will not take it away from you. And so it's like, all we do is kind of spread the energy rather than actually heal. I recommend, if you're very angry, very annoyed, even in a conversation, to say, I'm getting very overwhelmed, I'm getting very angry, I do want to come back and talk to you, but this is really triggering for me right now, I'm going through some things, I'm going to have to take a breather and take a walk just to calm myself down, reflect, and I'll get back to you. I don't want to say anything I'm going to regret, and I don't want to just dump all my stuff on you, but I'm going to need a minute. You know, that's much healthier for us, because nothing gets resolved we think it will get it off our chest, we think, because it forms a temporary form of connection, but it doesn't. If it's someone trained, they can help you work through things, but someone untrained can't. And all that happens is you just sort of spread the density. So a friend, knowing that you're struggling, can hold space for you, can pray for you, can, you know what I mean, come say, like, I'll go and get your groceries, or I'll come and help you out if I can. But that's about it. We really don't need to, it doesn't benefit anyone to dump stuff on them, and it's not what our relationships are for. Support is kind of like, I'm here for you if you need anything, what can I do to help? But what they can't do is process your emotions for you, right? So, judgment and shame. I think, like, there's nothing wrong with you, and it's not your fault if you're going through this, but it is your responsibility to heal. It is your responsibility to navigate it and take charge of your journey in your timing, and not beat yourself up. The worst thing we can do when we're down, by the way, guys, is beat ourselves up. If you're doing things you're not proud of, right? You've got addictions, or, I mean, it's an enmeshment with a narcissist, those kind of things. The worst thing you can do is compound it and beat yourself up for it. You already know you've got something that you'd like to change or you're having trouble with that you're not proud of, let's not beat yourself up on top of it. Self-partner. This is where we are right now. We're going to totally accept it. We're not going to beat ourselves up. We're not going to add guilt and shame as much as we can. And actually, we're only going to involve people that can actually truly help us. And, you know, where we can sharpen as ourselves and be around friends. You don't have to be put on a happy face. You can say, I'm going through some hard stuff right now. I just love that we're here and we're friends and that, you know, we're around each other. You can do that. But, like, sometimes we're pouring things on people because we want to be understood, because we feel very lonely in our grief and in what we're going through. And that really is often our inner child just wanting us to come home to us and go, it's all right, we've got it. No one's going to know what it feels like for you other than you. Even all the people here that have been through the same kind of experiences, you know, trauma is even different for different people. In fact, if some people experience the exact same events, not everyone gets traumatized from them, right? So no one's going to feel exactly how you feel about what you're going through. It is, you know, you and you, between you and you, the big you and the inner child. So we've got to self-partner in that, yeah? And trust our own process, trust our own time, and have belief in ourselves to know when it's right. We're working with ourselves, not pushing against ourselves in this. That's what I'd say. Lots of love, guys. I'll speak to you soon.